Welcome back to the Give Me Space podcast with me, Henry Perraton. This is a podcast about anything you can think of from space, the planets, the solar system, the galaxies, and the universe. On the last episode, we talked about the biggest planet in our solar system, Jupiter. On this episode, we are going to continue our journey through the solar system and away from the sun to the most beautiful and perhaps the most lethal planet, Saturn. Saturn is the second gas giant. It is the sixth planet from the Sun in our solar system and the second largest planet after Jupiter. Saturn is huge. With a radius of around 58,000 kilometers, Saturn is 9 times wider than Earth. Approximately 760 Earth-sized planets could fit inside Saturn. In the last episode, I talked about the immense gravity of Jupiter, its deadly radiation, and the supersized storm that rages on its surface. Jupiter is an inhospitable place, but it's nothing compared to Saturn. On the north pole of Saturn is an incredible hexagonal-shaped storm. Scientists believe that this storm is formed by smaller cyclones that sit within a larger storm. Jet stream winds that blow past the edge of smaller cyclones create straight edges, and this makes the hexagonal shape. Still, it is very strange and a foreign-looking pattern that even has a menacing look about it. One thing is for sure, the storms on Saturn are nothing like the storms we are used to on Earth. The wind speed on Saturn has been measured at 16,000 kilometers per hour, or 1,000 miles per hour, which is higher than the speed of sound on Earth and much faster than the winds recorded on Jupiter. The average temperature on Saturn is also colder than Jupiter. Saturn's average temperature is around minus 140 degrees Celsius, compared to the average temperature on Jupiter of around minus 110 degrees Celsius. Everything on Saturn is just a little bit more extreme. Saturn is a yellow-brown color. The outer atmosphere is made from mostly hydrogen and helium, with traces of phosphates, water vapor, ammonia, and hydrocarbons. The core of Saturn is made of hydrogen and nickel, and this metal core is surrounded by metallic hydrogen and a layer of liquid hydrogen. The immense pressure from the force of gravity creates heat that keeps the cores of the planets hot and sometimes molten, even though the surface can be very cold. Even though the core of Saturn is hot and very dense, most of Saturn's size is made of hydrogen and helium gas that have a very low atomic mass. This means that the average density of Saturn is only 0.7 grams per cubic meter, which is less dense than water. So, even though Saturn is 760 times the size of Earth, Saturn is only 95 times the mass of Earth, because Earth is made of much denser materials like rock, metal, and water. Earth is a solid little nugget. Saturn is famous for having beautiful rings made of dust and icy chunks that are visible from Earth through a telescope. The rings of Saturn are made from mostly water ice, with only some rock materials. The Cassini probe spent 13 years orbiting Saturn and brought us a lot of new information, especially when it went in between the planet's rings and its atmosphere on its final orbits. Cassini found out that Saturn's rings are only around 100 million years old and may only last another 100 million years. By studying waves within the rings of Saturn, scientists were able to calculate the length of a day on Saturn, 10 hours and 33 minutes. Saturn is the furthest object away from Earth to be discovered with the naked eye. The Romans named Saturn after their god of agriculture and wealth. The closest that Saturn gets to Earth is 1.2 billion kilometers, which is 8 times the distance between Earth and the Sun, 8 astronomical units. At its farthest, Saturn is 1.7 billion kilometers away, so missions to Saturn have to be timed correctly so that unnecessary years of travel aren't added to the journey. It's a bit like timing your walk to the bus stop for when the bus arrives, rather than having to walk a long way to catch up. There is a lot more to learn about Saturn. We're going to have to come back for another visit soon to find out more about the moons of Saturn and some of the spacecraft that had visited this beautiful planet. There's always more to learn. On the next episode of the Give Me Space podcast, we are continuing our journey through the solar system to the next gas giant planet, Uranus. Until next time, give me space!